This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission 250.
You guys got anything to say before we start here?
I don't know.
I always just kick it off without asking if you guys have anything to say.
Do this thing. That's right.
No, got nothing to say.
Okay, bad day to try that.
Go.
All right, welcome to the mission.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. We're starting off like we failed you. What do you mean bad day? What do you mean? We're supposed
you
to
guys
say
just have
something
nothing
to start
going
the
on.
podcast?
You just have nothing interesting to say. Is all I'm.
right.
You're going to be like
That's
that.
it.
All right,
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So we'll just start off
Yeah.
normally. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
It's just knowing that you're in the combative asshole mood. It's always good to know.
This
that
movie
that's where
put me
you're
there.
coming from.
Not my fault.
Yeah.
John's still sleeping.
I am.
Yeah, John's still
Fresh
in
from a
bed.
nap, in his dark, dingy basement.
I'm ready for a
That's
nap.
right.
I think I might take one after this.
Oh, nap was nice.
You can't take a nap after 6 p.m.
Why not?
That's just sleep at that point.
Well, I'll wake back up and then I'll go back to bed
All right.
at some point. Yeah.
With all that figured out, this is the Mission 250 Filmcast. We watch the best movies ever made, according to IMDb. This week, we're watching number 58, which happens to be the movie Django Unchained, which came out in 2012, directed by Quentin
that what it is?
Tarantino. Yeah, the synopsis of this one is, with the help of a German bounty hunter, a freed slave sets out to rescue his wife from a brutal plantation owner in Mississippi. That's right, TC, this movie was 3 hours long. What do you think?
Sure was.
Yeah. woohoo.
Yeah. What do you got?
It meanders. It gets a little boring here and there, but not. I mean, the story is pretty intense. It's just a fucked up story. I don't know how
Did
to
you
say
guys watch it all in one go?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, all one go.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's such a. There's just so many sections to it, and it's.
I thought it was
just,
going to end.
It's brutal. I mean, sometimes it seems like it's about to end, and then it just goes on and more, and it's not in a bad way, because it's like you get you're like, oh, okay, that wrapped up, and then you're like, no, wait, it didn't wrap up. Fuck. Okay, now I got to see more of this, which is good. I like it. It was a good movie, but it is long. There's no doubt about it. I would almost like to act intermission.
Yeah, that would have been
Just
nice.
for like a breather, a mental breather, especially from just the subject matter is just so heavy. So
Yeah, he almost did it
So
in
is
2
it
parts.
TC's turn to go first?
no, I mean it doesn't
Is it
really matter.
TC's
We're
turn
just
to go
winging it
first?
this time. It's a
I was like,
whole
what?
it's a whole new ball game here.
Did I
Oh my
fuck that
God.
up, John?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you did. You fucked it up, Daddy.
Oh, I did fuck it up. I fucked it up,
Who's
John.
combative?
Yeah,
Or
it's
John was
John.
all ready
John's
to go
combative.
first.
I didn't know
Yeah,
it was
John,
my
go
turn to
first.
I'm
I know,
done.
it was. John, it was. I
there's
fucked
not
it up,
much to
John.
it.
Yeah. How did you watch it? Did you guys rent it or what? You probably own it. Denny,
my
with
bed.
the
Oh, I got it.
4K, whatever. Yeah.
4K is not out yet, but they
on
just
Netflix.
announced it like in the past couple weeks, So
Okay. We ended up watching it through the IMDb channel for the first
What is
time.
that?
So with ads.
Well, it is with ads, and it's so we did our search like on the Apple TV. It's like, hey, you can watch it for free on Prime, but no, it's through IMDb through Prime,
Right.
weird.
and
Yeah.
then there are
IMDb
ads.
that
TV.
brand
It's all.
new?
It's free. It's free. Yeah, it's for brand new
yeah.
and it's free.
But it was odd because the ads there's no like fade in fade out or anything. There's no
Nope.
editing towards
Just
the
pop
ads.
out and pop
So
off, baby.
It's just like it is.
And it doesn't
is
smartly
really
select the
weird.
end of scenes or anything. It's just
No.
completely.
No.
No.
You could
It's
easily
just
write
like-
something to at least identify
Maybe.
between
No.
scenes, right?
But something
Not
like
the way they
dramatic
do it.
colors.
Right.
Yeah.
Something dramatic or terrible is happening, and
It's
all of a
not-
sudden
there's
Coke
no machine
Zero's in
learning.
your face. It's like it's just there's
You
really
wish it
weird
was.
Coke Zero ads.
You would
really,
think.
really odd.
You would think that is how it would work, but
Right,
no.
they would do something, but no. The ads are just like and then they just go.
See, what
away.
you need to do, John, this is what's happening. You're going to complain. Other people are complaining. They'll realize their fault. They'll spend the money on the algorithm, and then it'll fix itself, and they'll be fine.
I mean, it's on the roadmap,
Yes,
but it's
yeah.
just not coming soon.
Boy,
And,
it's just I'm not used to commercials, let alone like commercials in your face.
IMDb TV originals will have scene breaks.
Okay.
That makes
so they're
sense.
making their own
But-
content, is what you're saying.
They're making their own content.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus, everyone's getting into the streaming
There's
game
a show
these days.
called Leverage out right now, or about to be out.
Isn't there
that's,
already a show
Yeah,
called
isn't there
Leverage?
already a show called Leverage?
Well, I mean, it's going on the service as I mean, I think maybe it must be a license deal.
Okay,
Like
so
the
like the
licensing
new
is, but
seasons
they're-
are going
yeah,
to
but
this
they
or
picked
something?
where to put the ad breaks, and so they're doing that on all the content that they're making too. But as far as like a movie is concerned, where they don't own it. I think they're just throwing shit up.
Yeah, they are. But
yeah.
it's like so we watched it. We watched the first half, like right up till they get to Candyland, and that one night, and then 2 days later we tried to watch the second half, and it's gone. It's not on IMDb anymore.
What?
Oh no,
Couldn't find
shit.
it. Yeah. So
That sounds right.
it was like gone.
Was the
And then
entire
we had-
service down? Did you check to see if other movies were on the service? Did they
No,
just like
other
take
movies,
everything down?
IMDb is there. If you go in the Prime app, you see IMDb.
Oh.
We were like,
He
where'd
just
it go?
couldn't
We
find
couldn't
the
see in
damn.
our history, nothing. It was just like gone. It's like it never happened.
They must have come right off the service.
That's fucking
somehow.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
so
they-
then
maybe they
we had
licensed
to
it
rent
first
it, and then we
window.
just bought it because it was like $5 to just buy it. So we
Yeah.
now own Django.
This is what
and
you
hope-
should have done
hope the
in
kids
the
don't
first
accidentally
place.
play it. But yeah,
Yeah, right.
It's a little
Yeah.
adventure there, John. That was a wild story.
It was. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then we just gave a shout out to IMDb TV that it's not that great.
Kind of sucks, yeah.
Well, at least it's unedited. I mean, it's fine,
And it's free. I mean, you can't fuck with it.
No, it's free. It's free. That's why I don't think anybody's going to really complain.
Yeah.
No, but you don't. The suddenness of the commercial has to sort of be experienced because you're just I'm so unused to that, and just that
It'll
it's
get
just
better
so jarring.
long term.
Oh, I'm sure it will,
It'll
but
get
boy.
better.
And then it's either like there was Coke Zero or some Amazon product. So it was either IMDb advertising itself or Amazon advertising it. It was like
Yeah.
in our own, we were in our own little
Oh, yeah.
Amazon world.
Oh yeah.
Don't you find it really hard to get lost in a world, especially something as epic and the world building is so good?
If
like
you're
as
getting
soon
in
as you
an
get
ad,
a Coke
yeah.
Zero ad, you're like, I'm out. What the fuck? That
Yeah,
totally ruined
I
my
know, right?
experience.
It is. It was jarring. It
Like
was
see
very
a dog
jarring.
bite an arm. Hey, have a Coke Zero.
Exactly. Pretty much that. And the Coke
Yeah.
Zero commercials are really strange. They're trying to be all edgy or artsy or like indie looking, and they're very strange.
Hey, I'm all about Coke Zero. It's great.
Is it? It's some new
Tastes good.
It's either some new formulation though, or Coke.
New form of carcinogen and
Yeah, right.
cancer inducing.
You'd rather have it over Diet Coke?
Yes. It tastes more like Coke.
That's true.
I don't. Yeah, it's very specific. Diet Coke's very specific.
It
you
is. Totally different
People
flavor.
like Diet Coke individually,
Yeah.
apart from Coke. So, yeah, I'm a Coke Zero guy. In fact, I'm on 7-Up Zero.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it tastes like 7-Up.
You ever had a Diet Mr. Pibb?
I don't think I have.
Oh. Well, there
Sounds
you go.
good though.
Yeah, put it on the list.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Back to Django
Oh,
Unchained.
Django. Shit.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Woo.
right.
What else you got for us, John? Again, apologies for skipping over
There's a
you.
long old guy discussion about diet soft
What
drinks.
I'll do next
that's right.
week is I'll start with you, interrupt you about 2 minutes in, and then hand it over to TC.
I
Does
think
that sound fair?
that sounds
Yeah, right.
lovely.
Just to get it
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
It's Quentin Tarantino, so he does pretty cool stuff, and sometimes it's weird. I don't know. When we watched the first half of the movie, right up till they got to Candyland, Nikki and I were like, "Wow, that was really good. Wow, we really liked it." I don't remember us liking it that much when we saw it a while ago, and then we watched the second half of Candyland to the end, and they're like, "Oh,
That's
after
why we
that,
don't
we're
like it as much.
That's kind of why we weren't as like because the first half is so much fun, and there's still it's intermixed with awful brutality, which is this unflinching look at slavery, which is
Confusing in this movie.
confusing but understandable, and you don't want to take that part lightly. But there's so much more. Like it's so entertaining. Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx, how their interactions, how they like that first scene is really entertaining. Just when Christoph's like coming up on the gang and he's just so. And he's so fantastic, and it's great to see this after Inglourious Bastards, where he's this total hateable bad guy, and then he's this total lovable good guy.
But he's almost the exact same guy. Like it's so
but
weird how he's
still,
almost the
it's
exact
great.
same guy.
I know, but he's just great to watch. He's really I don't know. It's just really fun to watch, and I liked whenever they played for comedy. It was just really entertaining and well done. I thought it's just sort of this strange mix. The way they show the confusion of them seeing a black guy on a horse even is just it's just done well. I thought, and so and it was just again very very entertaining, and it was still at times very stark and awful about slavery. But then the second half, and I don't know, I think it just gets so much more tense and ugly for longer periods of time. And then what breaks that up is more not so much the comedy, or whatever, it's more violence there. And maybe that's just it's just unsettling. So you just kind of walk away going, I like Leonardo DiCaprio's role in this, but I don't think he's given as much to do as a bad guy. And again, maybe it's just coming out during Glorious Bastards, where we have Waltz being one of the best bad guys ever. But Leo doesn't seem to be given much to do, and he throws his fit towards the end, but it just seems like it's coming out of nowhere, sort of, where he's getting all excited about phrenology.
You don't think he was over the top the entire movie?
I didn't think he was over the top until I just didn't understand his character much. I kind of liked watching him when he was just being more sly, but it's fair. It may have been over the top. Samuel L. Jackson's character was strange too, because I know he's supposed to be faking how crippled or how feeble he is, but it's so over the top how feeble he's acting and leaning over Leo's shoulder. It looks weird. It's just
and shaking back and forth, he's got a weird little.
Maybe that's played for comedy, but it also seems just awkward almost, as opposed to I don't know.
The two of them are great though together.
I know. Well,
they were good together. I liked it. I was laughing. I mean, I don't know if I was supposed to be laughing, but I was laughing.
No, I was laughing too. I'm confused.
I'm like, these guys are having fun with this. Yeah.
But even then, I like the interludes better even there, and I don't know why it's almost like after Django escapes Candyland and he's there with the Australians. I like that part. It's just more of a breather. I thought Quentin Tarantino did a good job too there, as I thought his Australian accent seemed good.
Could you understand a thing that he said? Was he speaking English?
Yeah, he's speaking Australian accent in English.
I couldn't. It sounded like he was speaking pure gibberish to me. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was fun. I again just sort of this interlude was entertaining. But yeah, and again, the fight scenes are what they are. I don't know. I get tired of it, even with just it just goes on a long time, and when it's as prolonged as it is towards the end, I think I get a little tired of all the shooting, because I'm an old man. The shooting. And
John's got a little scale that goes back and forth, and it's from one side is tired and the other side is fun. It just goes either tired or fun.
Yeah, and when the gunshots go, it's like an audio wave, it's just it bounces to tired, boom, like a compressor, boom, tired, boom.
But
tired.
I forgot how funny this movie is at first though too, and I think it is I walk away from it going, I don't really want to see that again anytime soon. But if it just the first half, I was like, wow, this is great. I wonder why we didn't watch it.
Well, the first half is just all wit and funny, dry humor. Yeah. And good acting, and then Leo comes in. That's the problem.
Maybe it is.
It's also because the story is focused.
The story, true.
My biggest problem with this movie is that it seems kind of like some of the criticisms I had about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is some of the scenes just seem completely removable in this movie.
True. It doesn't have to be 3 hours.
Yeah. It's like a skit.
Yeah. It's like a skit.
It's still pretty funny.
It's like shoved together skits.
Like the Ku Klux Klan scene, which I really
that was
liked.
funny.
But
I
it
really
was
liked
funny.
that one. Yeah.
But it
didn't have to be in there.
Entirely removable.
You can remove it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just in there for light humor of with the rags or whatever.
Yeah.
Did they do something like that in Blazing Saddles? Or they were making fun of how it was hard to see out of. I don't remember, but if they had a similar.
Was it paying homage to an old movie?
I don't think he would have been paying homage that way, but
he does. This movie, he does it a lot.
Saddles?
Well, yeah, he stole a bunch of ideas from a bunch of old westerns, so it's pretty likely they didn't mention that one in the special features as one of the things that he stole or borrowed from, or whatever you want to call it. But he does directly rip off old western things to pay respects or whatever.
We'll call it reference.
In a lot of ways. Reference, sure. Just purely copy a single shot.
Yeah,
what is that?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. It's still amazing to me what he can do and how good some of this stuff is. So how good some of the scenes are and how good some of the acting is. But I think I think you're right, Denny. It just sort of feels like this feels less focused, or it just feels like there's all these parts here that are just sort of separable. And maybe that's a good point. But I do think that the latter half is, I don't know, once it gets there, it then is, as TC said, it's less witty than it seems. And maybe it is because it's all about Leo.
It's all Leo.
And I'm quick to hate on Leo, but I wasn't mad at him here. I just don't know if I understood.
No, I actually thought he pulled it off
I
kind of well, but it all changes. The movie goes from that quirky dude to Leo.
I honestly think the other big part of it is, besides the story and the editing and the sketches seeming a little disjointed, is the fact that, and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this, but after the first shootout in the house, the big shootout, I it feels like the movie's gonna end.
Right,
It does.
Right
there.
there.
I
It
would have
does.
been. I would have
Yeah.
been all right with that.
And
I
like
was a
all
little-
the steam
yeah.
of the movie, like that was it was a climax, and then the movie lasts for another 50 more minutes, and then you're just like, oh man,
Right, and you've
Yeah, I'm
already,
not
you've
gonna
already
lie.
lost.
I
yeah.
checked the time and said 35 more minutes.
right then,
Right.
right at the end of
So,
that first
yeah,
big
right
shootout.
after
Yeah.
the house.
Right.
The movie
Right
loses
after the house.
steam right
Yeah.
there, and it's kind of
Yep.
disappointing to lose steam after such a
After
good
the
climax.
biggest climax.
Yeah, you've got your bad guy killed, and even then, your bad guy killed wasn't the main bad guy dying was not the climax, which is kind of interesting that they just suddenly do it. You're like, whoa, he shot the bad guy just like that.
Yeah.
But you're right, and
Which
then
I loved.
does,
It was
yeah.
so good.
Yeah,
It was just one of those impulse moves, which I'm, big fan of. Of like, I can't let this go on anymore. Yeah, this has to be stopped. Yeah, and it was fucking great. And his reaction of turning around the way he did, he was just like, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
like still making a joke after all of it,
Yeah,
knowing
yeah.
full well he's about to get blown away. But yeah, right, Denny.
I
It did.
like
It ended.
that arc
It
of
ended
his
there.
character too, where he's like he's like the cold-hearted assassin, but the brutality of like being in Candyland is really eating at him, and like he can't handle it almost in a way that Django can handle it because Django has experienced more of it. And that's just sort of it's interesting.
No, he can't handle it when Beethoven's playing.
Well, that's the
That's
end
what
of
was
it,
bothering
right?
him. Yeah, right. The fact that you're playing such
that made him
beautiful
snap.
music and he's thinking about such horrific things,
Right.
it doesn't work for him. Yeah.
So I don't know what else do I got. I think that's really it oddly is with as long as this movie is. I love the Django theme song. I wanted to hear it again. I was kind of
it's
sad.
such a good one.
I love that beginning theme song. I was hoping you'd end with it. Or I was wanting to hear it again, but we don't get to hear it again. I mean, the music was great mostly. I liked the mix of like more modern hip hop there when they brought it in. It was pretty cool.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
When Rick Ross comes in, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love Rick Ross, so I'm all over it.
Jamie Foxx is awesome. I mean, he plays it really well. Yeah. I don't know what else I have to say here. I don't know. Like it's not. I mean the cinematography is.
It's good.
It's good. I don't like. It's not
great.
like I'm.
It's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
it's
it's
my
good.
eyes. I'm not. I don't remember it. I mean, I'll take your word for
The
it. Danny.
sets were
I'm more
good.
like going along
The
with
sets
it. No.
were good.
I mean, it looks great. It does look great, but I'm not like wowed by it either. I don't know why not.
Oh.
Maybe it's just because so much is going on. It's pretty frenetic.
It's got the same Tarantino feel that he's had in many movies.
Which is
I think
always
that-
great.
Which
It
is great.
always looks great.
Right. But it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Scorsese, right? Like we're used to seeing the fucking moving camera and then you see a character
Yeah.
and then they get off screen and it keeps on moving, right? Like it's his shtick, you know?
You got the shot in this one where the camera like does a little pan around a table when everyone's talking, and you get to see
you
everyone's
always
face
got
as they're
that.
listening.
Yeah. You got the
Yeah.
eating scene. You know, you always
Yeah.
got the eating scene.
Oh, you got food porn. This one has the beer food porn, which I love, where he's like pouring the beers and he has that little plastic thing.
those
He's
are
like,
nice. Yeah,
Yes.
Yep. I like that too. Like you just sort of learn something. Oh, that's what they did back then, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
right.
and
Yeah,
he looks
sure.
like he's good at this, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. He must know what he's doing.
I did like
Yeah.
again. I like those scenes. There's still not, Inglourious Bastards had such better memorable like the scenes of tension like at the beginning or when they're at the card table in the bar. I don't think there's nothing that has that kind of tension, and I don't know if it's just because there's also it's not like during Inglourious Bastards that they would show that they didn't like cut off into the like, brutality of the Germans to the Jews. In light of that, like other tension in the film maybe pales. I don't know if that's one thing that possibly happens. But
yeah, John, I think that's the biggest problem with this movie. Is this movie's funnier than Inglourious Bastards? I was laughing a lot more, but also it has like way more horrible moments where it brings in the slave brutality. And I did that exact same comparison where it's like Inglourious Bastards doesn't even touch on anything that's happening to the Jews. It's just Nazis, right? Like this movie to be equivalent would be just the slave owners and not showing the Mandingo fighting or like the dog attack scene or the hot box or any of those
Hot
things.
box, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
hell.
Like all that stuff is just totally unpleasant. And I don't know why he felt the need to show that stuff in this movie, but he didn't feel the need to show it in Inglourious Bastards. Like, what's the difference? Why did it need to be in this one? It wasn't fun. It made you feel horrible, you know, like
Because they only had 2 star actors and they had more leeway with time. They had a
Well,
lot of
maybe.
stars in that other one.
maybe, but also,
And there was like a whole
yeah.
pack of them, so they all had screen time all the time. And they always mentioned, they always talking, right? I don't know. It's a good question.
But
It
I mean,
really
I
is.
I really enjoy this movie, but I feel extremely conflicted in liking it because it's such a goofy movie, but it has such horrible scenes.
On the blood. The fucking blood.
Well, the
man.
blood is
It's
funny. Like the
it's
shooting
so,
blood.
It's
I
so,
was
it's
laughing.
so
so
over the top.
outlandish, right?
When he
It's
shoots
like,
his
what?
sister, he's like, "Goodbye, what's her name?" And she just flies backwards
And
out of the room.
she's like,
Fucking hilarious.
that was pretty
It's
hilarious.
something
I'll
else,
admit,
yeah.
or she. And I actually love how they played that out because it's so unusual that your hero is going to point blank like shoot one of the sort of like the side characters, like the wife of the guy, the sister of the guy, where you don't see her actually, not that she's not doing anything wrong, but it's just not typical of what your hero does. You don't even get to be shocked by it because it's so hilarious the way she gets
flies
yanked
off
off
the screen.
screen.
There's no blood at all. She's completely vacant of blood.
Gone.
Yeah. It's almost like it's like we're gonna let him do it, but we're gonna make that a lot more comical. We're not gonna have like the blood exploding, but when the white people die, or when the slavers die, it's this huge explosion. When it's slave brutality and slave dying, it's far more brutal and realistic and not played for, it's just
I always know. I don't know. So
horrifying.
that's not horrifying to me. That stuff I think is funny. It's so over the top that I'm
the
laughing and clapping.
slave
I'm like,
people dying. Yeah. That's horrifying. That's funny almost because it's so over the top. It's like Evil Dead or something. It's like
it's really like even better made than Evil Dead. Like
it's kind of fun.
Of the
it's
shots
almost like
and everything.
right, and you almost can just appreciate the fluid dynamics there, just like how much
blood
just,
there is,
like a friggin' waterfall. Like guys are like Old Faithful, and he like somehow he's white slave owners are walking around with a lot of high blood pressure.
And ready. Yeah, right.
They were just you had to be careful around them. They'd just blow up.
So
but
I don't know. TC, what else you got? I got a few things to say too.
I really liked the relationship between Schultz and Django. Because I just think it was a nice little like I don't know. I mean, during the
it's
time
like the
they
mentor
weren't,
and the
and the protege,
protege, right? All of that.
Yeah.
I liked how that worked.
He's
And
teaching him how to do things. The funniest thing I thought was that conversation when he wouldn't shoot the guy. He basically went on this long-winded way of telling him to shoot by like making him read the stupid warrant. And like I just found that to be like such a, like you said, like a mentor moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, so I kill people for money. So shoot. Like, what are you waiting for? Shoot the guy, It was great. It was
still sad in front of his kid. I still
right. And it's just like, this is what you do. This is what you're doing for a living right now. Shoot the guy. Also, that's what I thought as I was watching, like, was that actually like happening? You think probably, right? Like bounties, dead or alive, they would just always kill them. Like, why bring them back?
Well, yeah.
Because they're not going to go with you anyway. So kill them.
Oh, we can get into that in the next movie, TC.
Oh, why? What's the next
The
one?
Hateful Eight.
Are we really gonna do that
Tarantino.
for sure?
I think we should. I don't know. You guys
we should. We're on. I'm in.
Is it all right?
Now,
is it good?
John, now I have to know because
I've got a little
burning
bit of fatigue.
desire.
Okay.
I
I've
mean,
got a bit of
answer.
Western, Quentin Tarantino Western fatigue.
I think I might like
No.
Hateful Eight more than this one. So whatever that's worth. I got a weird taste in shit. So who knows?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And what we should do also, we talked about watching Battle Royale, which is like the film that Quentin says is his favorite of all time.
Oh, we should.
You want to watch that one, John?
I love that movie.
Well, that sounds like a TC pick then. I don't know if I will love it, but it'll certainly give us something to talk about.
I'll watch that in a heartbeat.
I still remember the first time I saw that movie, and I was just like, someone made this? and
Quentin sees it, and he's like, that's the one movie I wish I would have made.
Oh, yeah, it's right up his alley. Those kids are fucking evil. I mean, I don't really have too much either on this one because there's stuff, but I'm not going to talk about
I'm glad to watch
stuff.
it. It's a joy to see Christoph Waltz. I just think he's just fantastic. It makes me appreciate Inglourious Bastards even more and want to go back and watch that
He really
again.
is good.
So yeah,
really, I have kind of the opposite reaction. I don't think this is as good as Inglourious Bastards, and this makes me, I don't know, it just kind of brings it down. I don't know why that's my reaction.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I see him as like he got the best supporting actor for this movie.
For this movie,
for this one, for Django,
but not Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, he got nominated for that one.
It's ridiculous.
He was so good in that one.
I know. I think that's my and maybe one of the top one. It's got to be top 5 movie scenes of all time to me. Is that opening scene in Glorious Bastards? I think it's just insanely.
He just
good.
seems like he
so
memorizes his lines.
I'm gonna
well,
eat my words.
right?
He's the only person to win an Oscar for Inglourious Basterds. So he won for this one and that one.
Oh, okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
But I think that he's too similar in this one.
He's exactly the same.
He's exactly the same. His character
I
is
feel
a little
like
bit
he
different,
acts
but
like
he
that
has
when
the
he goes to
exact
get a
same
cannoli.
mannerisms.
He is a
You
pretty
know?
I'll have to go back. It's been a while. It's been long enough since I watched Inglourious Bastards. Maybe I went right back.
Him explaining to Django when they're sitting at that bar when like everyone's coming to get
Oh,
them.
yeah.
The way he
Yeah.
explains that is the same way he talks to the French
Is it?
farmer in the
Right,
beginning
right.
of Inglourious Basterds.
Oh.
It's just the context of what's going on. You know, and he
Yeah.
doesn't speak as many languages, but it's like
Right.
I think it's pretty fucking close to the exact same thing.
And maybe
just seems
it'd be
cheaper.
interesting to make the comparison like side by side because there's no menace there and he's just so much friendlier. But
he's friendly. That's why he comes across as friendly. But he's a Nazi, so there's like it's kind of like it's
Yeah,
the way
well,
the
yeah,
movie
the
is.
juxtaposition is different.
And maybe I'm wrong and I need to watch it again. But I think in Inglourious Bastards he does that friendliness, but he does it with such an undercurrent of menace.
I think it's only
that's
because you know he's
what's
a
gonna
Nazi.
happen.
Yeah.
And he's there to
we
kill.
also know how brutal he is.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to watch. Maybe he is playing it the exact same way.
That's why it's
the,
scary though, because he's nice, but you know what he's capable of.
Well,
of
but
the
also
story,
the
you know,
people
but
are
the acting
the other.
is the same.
Yeah, sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead.
TC. No, I'm done.
No.
I'm done.
No, the other characters are scared. There's a difference.
Right.
This guy
That
doesn't
is
know who he
no.
is.
And again,
So
you're
like
right,
the
you're
whole
right. Yeah.
scene is more tense.
Right,
Before,
right,
like, So
right.
you just like it's not the same for this because he's walking
No,
in,
that's
nobody's
true.
scared of him. You know.
Right. And we say that's what makes that other scene, that opening scene, so powerful. Is not just what Waltz is doing, but the actor opposite of him,
Father,
who's just
yeah.
doing such a fantastic job of like showing like terror. Yeah. So that's fair.
And I think part of the difference too is that there was this editor called Sally Menke. I think it's how you pronounce her name. She edited every single one of Tarantino's movie up until Inglourious
wow.
Basterds, but then she died. And
Oh,
this is the
shit.
first movie, Django Unchained, where she didn't edit it. And I won't say that it's like the first of Tarantino's movies that was sloppy, because I think like Death Proof was pretty sloppy. But
Yeah, I think
don't
Death
know.
Proof was supposed to be sloppy.
Yeah,
I never
that
watched it,
could've
but
been
it's like I don't know. You say it's grindhouse.
yeah,
man.
and even Kill Bill though. Kill Bill didn't flow too well for my tastes,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Just get like this movie is so similar to Inglourious Basterds in a lot of ways. Even like the intro sequence is very similar. Like it's Christoph Waltz having a one-on-one conversation that ends in violence,
right,
and then that kicks off the story. You know,
Yeah,
and it's like a
that's fair.
long
That's fair.
scene in an interesting location. Like it's pretty similar,
That's
just
fair.
like
I guess so.
overall. But yeah, there's I
That's
don't
a
know.
good point.
I don't know how much more coherent this movie would have been, but it's also like this movie, he was planning on making it 2 parts like Kill Bill. But then at some point during the editing, he's like, nah, I'll just edit it down and it'll be one movie that's super long. So,
yeah.
Maybe we should edit it down a little bit more.
yeah.
I
Little
think
bit
I'll
more.
air off there.
This is the first movie. Are we getting into trivia?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
might as
roll
well.
here.
I got nothing
Yeah,
left.
I don't got much more to say really. I got some interview stuff for my book corner, but
sweet.
that's about it.
But just on that note, this is the first movie that I've read of, and it might be the only movie that this happened in. But Tarantino actually edited down the violence himself, so like it got rated R by the MPAA, and he went back after he got that and edited down both the Mandingo fighting scene and the dog scene. He edited those down because he felt like it would disturb the audience, and he didn't want that to happen. He wanted people to come out of the theater being happy, thinking it was fun.
Yeah. Well, and they almost seem to, and I think that it's weird. The attempt to do that at the end to make it seem lighthearted is strange to me.
I was still laughing when he blew up the house and she was just like giving him a little clap.
She's
And I was
like she's cheerleading the
Yeah, it
football
was
team
hilarious.
or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's like, and his little horse does the dance, and
or even
stuff.
when like he told the 2 slave women that before he was about to blow the house up, he's like, "You two better get out of here." And then it hard cuts to them sprinting down the dirt path, like holding their
Right,
dresses
right.
up.
Like,
And I
holy
also
shit,
laughed
we
at that. Yeah.
That's true, yeah. But after he's like, say goodbye to Miss What's her name.
So yeah. So they're still like throughout the movie, still really funny, but yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like it just, and he does this a lot too, where he like jumps from like serious to funny to entertaining and stuff. There's just something about this one. I don't know if like the subject matter is too much.
It's so
or
savage
the funny
and
parts
horrible.
are too goofy.
But
Like I don't
he'll
get
say
it.
in his he'll say in his interview that's the point though. Because it's something that America doesn't try to face head on too much is like how horrible it was, how bad it was.
But he's not doing that here either. It's a fucking goofy, funny movie,
but it's
right?
still, I know, but in the moments where he's depicting the brutality, it's fucking brutal. In those moments, like encapsulated, it's fucking horrifying. The Mandingo scene and the dog scene, those are just and the hot dog, all of that is fucking horrible.
Agreed.
As horrible as any other realistic depiction, I think, of 12 Years a Slave or what have you, even though those movies are far more consistent in tone.
Right. So that's the thing. I come out of this movie saying like, that was a fun movie. I laughed a lot, but then, I guess
and you're
you just
like,
can't
wait, why did I laugh a lot?
Yeah. And 12 Years a Slave.
That was
like,
a movie about the
guilty for
horrors of
laughing.
slavery. God, that was great. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Huh?
Let's go see
How
it
about
again,
that
guys.
joke he told at the dinner table?
Yeah.
So maybe that's just me trying to like have a blanket feeling towards a movie, and that's not what Tarantino was going for. But that's just how I don't know. It's just a confusing thing. I don't know.
I just walk away. But I have the same feeling. I walk away with them feeling going, I don't want to watch that again.
Right,
as opposed to the first half,
yeah.
which I was like, this is great. Even though there's still moments in the first half that depict the brutality. It's nothing is bad. That's right when they get to Candyland. That's when we get the dog scene and then the Mandingo fighting. Blah. But so yeah, I'm with you there on that feeling that just sort of you walk away going, all right, Nikki and I were both like, we didn't need to buy that. We should have just
should have watched it with
Can
should have
you
watched it in one
delete
sitting
it after you buy it?
But I mean, I thought everything production wise was like top notch. I guess you can get desensitized to it since it's Tarantino and it always is. But I mean, he tries really hard. Like it's not just easy for him because he's Tarantino. He's Tarantino because he focuses on all this stuff.
Oh, he does.
Right. That's very true.
One of the really neat things reading interviews is it really comes across how thoughtful he is. When you see him talk, his excitement is what comes through much more, just because of his style of talking. So it was nice to go and actually just read some of the interviews he's given where you're
nice not to listen to him sound like a chipmunk just yelling
exactly.
as fast as he can.
In those interviews, it's not like okay, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
then we got this.
That stuff's like edited
totally over
out.
here, and the horses they fall over. All right, a bunch of people, shoot a gun.
So it's really interesting to just read the words around all of those stuff and see how thoughtful he is about what he's doing. So when we get to the book corner, I'll get to some of that.
Nice. I liked the zoom, the fast zoom noise. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
They do the fast zoom. It was like whoosh, whoosh.
I
don't think I've seen that before. It's pretty good. I don't have anything else to say either. I got some trivia, but John, want to go to book corner?
We can. So
might as well.
Let's see. Let me. I'm unprepared. I have to get the glasses.
That meter just went down a tired real quick.
I know. I did. Welcome to the book corner.
Yeah. Okay.
So this book is a collection of interviews. There's the Conversations with Filmmakers series, which is pretty great. And one of the nice things is it just they go and they get pretty high profile interviews that the directors have done, and they just collect them in the books. So there's two that I read from this book. One is a 2009 interview with Sight and Sound. So we'll talk a little bit about Inglourious Bastards here
Sight
too.
and Sound, the infamous magazine that has freaking Citizen Kane is number 2 and Vertigo is number 1 currently.
Yeah, but it's well respected, right?
For sure.
So this is with 2009 Ryan Gilbey, who did the interview itself. And this is when they were talking about more Inglourious Bastards. So he and Quentin's always so nice. He's just like talking about how excited he is to be interviewed by Sight and Sound. And he was one of his big early memories was when Tim Roth was on the cover of Sight and Sound for Reservoir Dogs. Anyway, it's just again Quentin's he still seems to appreciate being respected and getting the sort of the fame that he's gotten, which is really nice. He doesn't come across as an arrogant bastard either in that sense. He's also still seems to be really happy to be there.
Because he loves talking about movies. He hasn't gotten sick of it yet. He's still the biggest movie nerd that Hollywood's ever seen, I think.
Exactly. And exactly. And that what comes across. And even he, in this interview, he talks more about Kill Bill and what he was doing with it, where he wanted basically his character to work her way through almost every exploitation kind of film that had been out there. He had his reasonings for it. And I know when we watched Kill Bill Volume 1, it was you want to make a movie about a woman who's raped while she's in a coma? Why do you want to, he has his reasons. It's not just he's got some really odd fetishes, which he may well have. But but he has these
It's
things.
still a
thought out.
reason,
He's
John.
not-
Having fetishes
It
is a reason. It's not a good one.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, he just talks about, he thinks that in Kill Bill, the scene in the church is one of the best he's ever done.
What?
And yeah.
This is 2009.
Um,
This is right. You said this is right after Inglourious Basterds came out?
Yeah. So, but anyway, he it's fine. I think it's interesting for him. He talks about, life is cheap. That he's talking about Inglourious Basterds, and he's talking about Inglourious Basterds as very much a Western. It really is not surprising that there's so much of a similar feel when he goes and does Django, which is a Western, but it's still, he's really going after Western concepts in Inglourious Basterds as well. Oh, I like this. So that the interviewer just is like saying, and because Quentin all the time is like, people are talking about how his movies reflect other movies, and the interviewer's like, well, that shot through the doorway of Shoshana fleeing can't help but recall The Searchers, a John Ford movie from '56. And Quentin says, well, I'll take a slight exception to that. It's safe to say that if John Ford's mother had never met John Ford's father, I'd still have figured out that shooting through a doorway like that would make for a cool shot.
Would you?
and he's like, then the reviewer responds like, well, when we watch films, we do so through the other films we see. And Quentin's like, yeah, that's true. But I seem to get that more than anybody else. He's maybe just a little touchy about how everybody's
That was
always
one thing
saying
that's
how he's
always
saying
bothered
other
him in
things.
his reviews. Yeah.
But that's not fair, though, because he's the one who talks about all of his influences more than literally anybody else.
It is true. I know, and that's true.
It's all good as long as he's talking about
You're
it.
right. No, but and the interviewer even brings this up later in that exact same interview. So you bring this on yourself.
Yeah.
You'll put music from these old movies in there. I mean, it can be sort of a guessing game of where you're drawing your influences are, and you're very vocal about all of that. So it's fair to say that. I think that he does sort of bring it on himself, and it's one of the good things about what he does. He just like embraces everything, and he's so enthusiastic about films that he brings it all in, and there's no question that he has his own originality. It's not like Quentin Tarantino is just a ripoff artist here by any means. So I don't, but
or he's the best ripoff artist the world has ever seen.
Well, it was that old line: all artists, the best artists steal.
No, what is it? Good artists borrow, best artists steal, or something like that.
Oh yeah. Anyway, maybe, but I think that I'm happy he's making those films that he has, and we've seen a lot of those films that have influenced him, and he still has his own take on things for sure. I think
100%. Yeah.
He talks about sort of like the gratuitous sort of violence toward the Nazis in Inglourious Basterds, and the interviewer sort of asking about that. He's like, are you just giving into this idea of bloodlust and vengeance? And that was something that I don't really like about Inglourious Basterds, is just how they'll sit there and really relish the carving of the swastika on the Nazis. That really, those scenes go on for quite a while.
I like it.
To me. It's like, I know. And he's just like saying from his perspective, that's what the bastards do. They relish this. They also, it's part of just who they are. And that's why he does that. He feels like he's playing to their characters. He's not just indulging in something. He's saying, this is who these guys are. They relish this kind of violence. Whether that's good or bad is up to the audience to decide, but that's sort of, he feels like that's who they are, and that's what they're doing.
How does that pertain to this movie?
Yeah,
because instead of showing violence towards Nazis, which you can feel good about, which I do feel great about, they show violence towards slaves, which is just terrible.
Which you can't feel good about.
Feel terrible about. Don't like watching it. Shove it in the middle of a comedy.
And I know we don't need it, so I don't want to keep harking back to Inglourious Basterds, but this one interview kind of hits all these points that we talked about. Back when we did Inglourious Basterds, I wasn't trying to do the book corner bit, so I'm trying to make up here a little bit. But it's interesting, he brings up, like the interviewer again, it brings up that with the character, the bad guy, what's his name?
Hans Lanza?
Yeah, when Lanza, it sort of breaks down. The interviewer says he's sort of disappointed. He says, he uses words so skillfully that I felt disappointed when he loses control and attacks Bridget. I like that because I felt that same way too. Like you and I, Danny, talked about that in particular with that movie. How I felt it was sort of it just seemed odd for him to do that. And Quentin was like, then said, well, I actually like the fact that he loses it there. And he says one thing, and he says he didn't super explain it in the movie, but it's something that you'll notice is that if any German realizes Bridget is working for the enemy, they lose their fucking mind. And that's because she's this poster girl for the German soldier, the darling, the sweet, or the Third Reich film industry. To sort of find out that she's been lying makes them go nuts. And so he was saying there's this extra angle to it as well that he didn't feel like he played up as well in the movie that helps sort of explain why people freaked out the way they did. So I sort of thought that was interesting too.
Huh. Well, at least he thought it through.
Maybe there's an angle here that we're missing.
So that was the first one. Now I got another interview that was, this is about Django Unchained, the movie we actually watched. This is with Henry Louis Gates Jr. from the magazine The Root. Harris Louis Gates Jr. is a professor, scholar, studies slavery. So this is exactly what I was kind of looking for. Like, we're a bunch of white guys. I'd be interested in like somebody who is black who is talking to Tarantino about this particular movie and how he addressed the issues of slavery and so forth. And that's exactly what this interview is.
Nice.
So
seems important.
Yeah, and I just like it's just interesting to see. So he actually, to hit one more thing, like Interesting Inglourious Bastards was originally Quentin thought it was going to be a miniseries, and he actually was going to have this whole subset in that miniseries about a bunch of black troops that had been fucked over by the American military, to quote him, and they would have their own adventures. So he kind of had this idea even then that he was thinking about like a black group of soldiers, and that's kind of where some of the ideas came from. And it'd been interesting to see Inglourious Bastards as a miniseries. And one of the things that happened is that Jamie Foxx would talk about in interviews later on too, and the interview was talking to Quentin about, is that early in shooting, Quentin Tarantino sat Jamie Foxx down and told him that he wasn't like playing the character that he needed to play at first, which is that he had too much self-confidence at first. You had to go back, and Quentin actually sat Jamie down and said, we have to go back and imagine what it was like. And Jamie Foxx says this was actually a profound moment for him. And for Quentin, he's wanting to say, like, this is really important for your character. You have to show the fear and how you've been beaten at first, because you're going to rise from that. And so for Quentin, it was very much too about the character arc. Because Jamie Foxx was just starting off by playing badass, and Quentin actually then had to, after they did their first day of shot.
He's like, look, you're badass. We get it.
Right.
This is the beginning of the movie, and you can't be badass right now.
Yeah, and I like the way Quentin saw this happening, and he's described this was like during the first day of a shooting, and he said that he noticed that he was playing this really strongly, and he almost like seemed to have an attitude, was annoyed at Schultz. And then he said, quote, well, I'm not going to correct him. Let's just let this play out. Let him get some of this out of his system. Let him go his own way. I don't want to rush to judgment either. So he was like also like letting this happen for a while. And then he sat down and talked with him about it. So it just seems like
a while is just the first day.
Yeah, it's not a long time, but I like the way Quentin seemed to explain what he was doing.
That's a long time with this kind of production. Like, that's just indulging one actor for one whole day on. Like, that's a lot.
No, he's not indulging either. He's like, well, let's see if I'm right here or wrong,
use it,
let
or something.
Let it play out a little bit. And I just like the way he said that, which seems to indicate that in this case at least, he's not this just imposing his will. He's actually like, even though he's got some strong ideas, he's also letting something play out a little bit, which
for a day.
I know, but that's for, I don't know if it was a day or for that shot.
Well, now the day doesn't seem very long at all, does it?
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. But I just thought it was interesting to sort of that his attitude about it and how he seemed to approach it.
Well, that is his job.
Yeah, that is. But normally we can hear the other correctors be like, no, this is what you should do. It's
literally his job.
But or as let's let this play out first and then see. But I don't know. The interview is like that. It's interesting. Do you feel weird as a white director making decisions like that? Sitting Jamie Foxx down, telling him that he needs to, really try to go back and see what it was like to be a slave. And Quentin says, I never touch base with Quentin, my own self. He's saying, when I'm writing my pieces, people can say that to a fault. I follow the characters wherever they want to go. I might have places I want them to go, but if they don't want to go there, if they want to go their own way, that's them telling me it's bullshit to follow their way. So better or worse, I don't think twice about deciding for my characters or whether they're male, female, or black or white. When I come to it, it's really up to clean up plotting. So that, again, when he tried, at least in his mind, he's trying not to think about, like, I'm a white man telling a black man what to do. He's just trying to think about his characters and where he thinks his characters should go.
Would he have answered that any other way, though?
Yeah, I don't know. What else could you say? But he's just, But I think he answers it well. Too at the same time.
Star. Yeah. He's a politician in the making.
You're so critical.
Such a
Oh, yeah, I'm a
negative,
jaded,
such a
negative
hater.
I don't
perspective.
Such a
buy
hater
any
of
of
the
it. I think
creatives.
people are so full of
Oh, these people that make art, I hate them.
shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Just
Uh-huh.
anyway.
Yep.
They're the worst. Good movie, but they're the worst.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Quentin is actually obsessed with The Birth of a Nation and its making, and he hates it. So he's. Oh wait, did TC take off?
No, his
Okay.
filter is just doing
it's a
funny
filter?
stuff.
Filter like made
He's
you
just leaning
disappear,
back.
like,
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, I
there,
just leaned
man?
back. There we go.
Okay.
It's been happening for a while.
Yeah.
He's been flickering on his
Yeah,
camera.
it's sort of it's really
it's just
odd
too
when
far
I
away.
see you coming in and out. Anyway,
I'm just, I'm not listening. I'm just, taking off.
yeah, I know it's fine. Anyway, they have an interesting conversation, just sort of about Birth of a Nation and the book The Klansman, which is really popular, and I guess there was like a play about it, and just how like it really popularized the Ku Klux Klan, and how it was super popular and it was evil. It was like this book The Klansman was just really really awful and disgusting, but it was like very popular, and how he just sort of. It was just amazing that this is like the Birth of a Nation, this film that's really influential in cinema, is this awful piece of shit racist film. So he's like sort of, in some ways, it's one of the things he's obsessed about, even in as much as he hates it. It's very interesting to him.
He's lucky he's famous. Otherwise, he wouldn't be sharing that information.
Well, right. Well, he's not praising it in any way.
Yeah, you can't.
telling you.
But you can't be watching Birth of a Nation over and over again unless you're like an influence in the industry, right? You're not gonna, as John over here, you're not gonna walk up to somebody at a party and tell them that.
So I was
hate
watching
it.
Birth
I
of a
hate
Nation.
it, but I've watched it like 20 times and I can't fucking stop watching it.
Well, I watched it
he's
3
not
times
saying-
last
and
week.
I don't-
but I hate
again,
it.
that's not what he's saying. I mean, he has studied it.
You're saying
I mean,
obsessed,
yeah.
so in my head, I'm thinking he's
yeah.
watching it a lot.
He's obsessed with lots of things, but yes.
Okay. Okay, so
yeah.
Tarantino obsessed. He's not specifically obsessed with this. He's
Right,
just
right. No.
something
I think he
said
has
once,
lots of
so,
passion. He's obsessed
gotcha.
with exploitation movies. He's obsessed with westerns. He's obsessed with kung fu films. I think he's got a lot of passionate obsessions. So, this is HLG saying, the interview saying Spike Lee's on your ass all the time about using the word. Well, what would you say to black filmmakers who are offended by the use of the word? Or offended by your depictions of the horrors of slavery in the film. And Quentin just says that, if you're going to make a movie about slavery, and you're talking a 21st century viewer and putting them in that time period, you're going to hear some things that are going to be ugly, and you're going to see things that are going to be ugly. That's just part and parcel of dealing truthfully with this story, with this environment. Personally, I find the criticism ridiculous. It would be one thing if people are out there saying, you use it much more excessively in this movie than it was used in 1858 in Mississippi, but nobody's saying that. And if you're not saying that, you're simply saying I should be lying. So I should be watering it down. I should be making it easy to digest. And I don't want it to be easy to digest. I want it to be a big, gigantic boulder, a jagged pill, and you have no water. So again, just very intentional.
I kind of agree with that, but at the same time,
I agree with him too.
But at the same time, I agree with, I don't know, man. It's such a touchy subject. I have no opinion on that.
It's awful.
He sounds
We
right, but I
can't
think
even talk
Spike
about
Lee
it.
is also right because it's all emotionally driven, right? And it's just
Right.
like, it's a super fucking touchy subject. And yeah.
And we shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah,
All right.
we shouldn't talk
Next.
about it. Great.
Yeah, right.
No, I just
For the same reason, some people think he should have wrote it in his script, right? Same kind
right,
of thing.
right.
For good
I'm
reasons.
interested.
and
I'm
bad
interested
reasons.
in his reasoning about it, and I think
Again, if
it's
he wasn't a
interesting to
world
know.
famous director, he'd be getting a
If
lot
he
more
wasn't
shit
a
than
world
Spike
famous
Lee.
white director, he shouldn't even be
But
talking
I mean,
about
it's
this
not
shit.
just the director that he is; it's the actors that he gets to go along with him too. I mean, you got Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson here. He's got backing as well too. I don't think that it's like he's got cred in a way. Like what he did with Pulp Fiction with Samuel L. Jackson, it works and it doesn't feel inauthentic or anything like that. That part of that is because he's got these fantastic actors that are doing this too. So
There's going to be someone offended with this stuff no matter what. So
Yeah, this one
either-
just has
yeah.
a lot. So this is just me too. This one has a lot more white people saying it.
I don't
than,
say whatever you say we want. I don't come away from this. This vilifies slavery as it should be vilified. I think, and
I don't see how you make this without the
right?
word.
Yeah.
And I don't come away. I think my annoyance with this sort of criticism of it, it's like fuck. We have actual racists out there. Let's go criticize them.
Yeah, Spike,
and I mean,
you
they,
fucking idiot.
they made
Come
fun
on.
of the KKK, right? Like just a bunch of bumbling idiots in the movie, right?
Why do we want to pick out, I mean, maybe you can quibble about to what extent, like, Quentin as a white person has the right to do this or not, but look what he's doing. He's representing as vile and evil and ugly in the way that it should be represented. Why waste time criticizing that?
You know what he would say to that is, okay,
right.
3 white guys talking about the white guy talking about the use of the word.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's what Spike would say. Spike would say, fuck you guys,
Go
you're
talk
all
to the
white.
white
Exactly.
guys. Go talk about the white guys that are actually the racists.
Yeah, right. But that's not an argument you can have, John.
Well, then
I
Spike
know,
would say
but-
you can also make a movie called the Black Klansman about the racists, and then also be angry at the 3 white dudes doing a podcast trying to say something intelligent
I
about
know,
the
I
whole
know.
thing. You can still
Either
do that
way, he's
both.
not going to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
He doesn't,
I know.
I'll
But
keep that
anyway,
one to myself.
well, and it's all opinions. So that's fine too. Let's see. So the Samuel L. Jackson originally, when he was envisioning Django, he had Sam Jackson in mind for the lead role. But when as Quentin got the story together, he realized he wanted to capture, go after the younger version of Django. So record more of his origin story. And so that's when Sam was approached instead to play the other character who's like the evil. The other real evil centerpiece of the film, and Sam was really excited about playing it though. And Quentin was talking about Sam about that. He says, "Do you have any problem playing him?" And he says he's quoting Sam Jackson, said, "Do I have any problem playing the most despicable black motherfucker in the history of the world? No, I ain't got no problem with that. No, man, I'm already in it. I'm working with my makeup guy now about the hair."
That sounds like such a Samuel L. Jackson
I know.
response.
Yeah.
But they're friends too, so there's a whole different dynamic
Didn't
there.
Tarantino help his career? Wasn't Pulp Fiction
Jesus Christ.
his breakthrough?
I mean, you look at, I don't know where he was going, but he was the only other thing I know that he was in was Jurassic Park, and he's sort of the mild-mannered computer guy.
He was
Jurassic
he was
Park.
in one scene in Coming to America.
No, when we get to Pulp Fiction, I mean, that's something that, it's a coincidence, but Quentin puts these actors in these roles, and they just shine like crazy. So both Travolta and Jackson in Pulp Fiction are just phenomenal, and Sam Jackson's performance there is just incredible. It's just, I don't know, it's really amazing.
Legendary is the word, John. It's legendary.
That would be, yeah. I think there's not much more. They just talk about how it's sort of they're making him Superman towards the end, how he just doesn't get shot by the white guys.
Superman?
That's
Superman.
Superman.
Just want to let you know we're still listening to you, John. Just want to let you know.
It's always good to know.
Superman.
But that's just he's relying on a lot of spaghetti Western tropes there, sort of, it's just that's the style of things. And he just enjoyed doing that. So, he liked during that fight, seeing how his job is, he's in this big gunfight, and this one big job is to keep killing guys and taking their guns because he's only got 6 bullets per gun. He just kind of liked how he was trying to orchestrate that bit out. And I did kind of like that scene. And, he did he wanted it to be when Django shoots, when they shoot each other, it's a mess thing. But when Django shoots somebody, he just blows them up. And he just, again, it's just almost the superhero sort of thing that's going on. So we're going to get into this is where Quentin's talking about sort of the idea of the spaghetti Western thing where life is cheap, life's dirt, life's just, but death is profit. So he made it so that the bounties were huge, grossly more than they were. But he liked exaggerating those aspects.
I mean, thousands of dollars back then would be hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Right? I mean,
So the interviewer here says, well, I'm a scholar of slavery, and so maybe we'll let this bits out, but this is more them getting back to this point. And one of the things I noticed in my classes is we become inured to the suffering and pain of slavery, that we've distanced ourselves enough from it that people can't experience the anxiety, stress, terror, the pain that come with the slave experience. And Quentin says, I understand what you're talking about, the way the classes and people in general have so put slavery at arm's distance that just the information is enough for them. It's just intellectual, and they want to keep it intellectual. And the interviewer says that in Django, he thought that Quentin was trying to reinsert contemporary viewers into that pain, particularly the scene where the dogs tear the Artnegang apart. And that he was saying that used to happen, that the French used these dogs in the Haitian Revolution too. And Quentin was saying, oh yeah, they'd get these dogs and they would have puppies where they would just have the black slaves themselves beat and torture them and withhold food for them, so that the dogs saw the slaves as the enemy too. And the interview goes on to say, well, what we say when people criticize you, because it is unsettling to see a man torn apart by dogs, how do you decide what to represent of the suffering of slaves? And Quentin says, I write film criticism and film literature. He says, I haven't published any of it yet, but I just collect it, and it keeps me thinking. And he goes on to say, I was working on a piece on Sergio Corbucci, which a big piece where he's the guy who wrote and directed the original Django. And I was looking at all of his spaghetti westerns. I got really enamored with the West that he created. And he saw that this was created, a lot of what those films were created was under fascism. And he wanted to have this violent, pitiless West. And he wanted to figure out what would be the American equivalent of that. And it's pretty clear, what is the American equivalent of that, where Corbucci's films were written in sort of with this context of fascism. And that was where this violent ugliness came from. And for him, if we take that to America, what's the equivalent of that? And it's pretty clear to him that that's the slavery. And so that's kind of where he was pulling that stuff out. I don't think he really ended up answering that question, though.
I was going to say
but he really distracted me enough where I was like, oh, man, that's a good answer.
Politician. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Politician.
He just drives you into a good spot.
I wrote something that isn't published. Hold on. I wrote something that's not published. I just collected from myself.
So I don't see this guy as a politician at all. I just see him as having interest in being fascinated in the work that he's doing. I don't see him as trying to pitch.
I see him as someone who's good at answering questions like that to avoid the
I don't know.
talk.
I think to me it seems like he's really thought it through because he's really quick at answering these questions.
I think he's quick.
He goes back, and the interviewer comes back and say, well, why do you think we've had to distance ourselves from the pain, which makes your representation so shocking? And Quentin says, I don't know the answers. I don't feel that way. I can't understand why anybody would feel that way. I think America is one of the only countries that has not been forced to look at its past sins completely in the face. He was seeing the energy and the evilness that was being shown in these films, and he thought that was really effective. And he's almost thinking like, and from him, like the plot and what drives the plot and what makes the movie what it was to him. And he's thinking of, well, what are those undertones and where are they coming from? And that's where he just makes this, that's where he has this parallel to slavery for this particular film. But the interview goes on, well, however you want to depict the horrors of slavery itself was 10,000 times worse. And Quentin was saying, yeah, that's almost become our Django slogan. It's like, look, the stuff that we show is really harsh and it's supposed to be harsh, but it was a lot worse. So anyway, I think that's mostly all I've got here. I think it's fun to read him. And I know, TC just got this sort of innate hatred of the creative types where you just want to like see what they're doing as I don't know.
I just pick apart their answers because they're full of shit.
Yeah, and I just don't, and maybe that's fine, but then I don't even understand why you'd even be interested in movies if you don't have any
Who said
sense
I
of, like,
am?
people,
We've decided that I don't like movies.
So this is true, right? I mean, it just. The point of I like the idea, and maybe this is just naive and it's just wishful thinking on my part, but I really love the idea of people who are creative, who are trying to say something and are trying to make some kind of meaningful statement with the work that they're doing, even if it's just meaningful to them. And I think that's one of the things that really attracts me to this stuff. So it's to me, it's great to try to read about some of this stuff and try to see that happening.
That's fair.
But
I agree, and I also really hope that he publishes all of his reviews at some point. I would, holy shit, I'd buy that. That'd be so awesome.
If
to just
they
like
exist.
I would go and I haven't heard of a movie. He writes a review. I'm watching the movie, and then what do you think, Tarantino?
Anyway, I think I'm just kind of glancing through the rest of this, and that's probably all I got. And so anyway,
sweet.
That's all I got for Book Corner.
Nice.
That was good.
Not too many special features on this movie. There was like a little short documentary on stunts, and there was a short documentary on production. And then one on the costumes. The costumes one, there's nothing there. It's costumes. Like, who cares? If you like costumes, sure, go ahead and see like what they did to make the costumes and all that stuff. It's a lot of work.
Girl just shriveled up into
I'm sorry, it's just not for me.
Yeah, sound and costumes. No one gives a fuck about you.
I did like his outfits, though.
Yeah.
I loved his blue
great.
outfit and I loved his blue outfit and his purple outfit.
And I mean, they talked about how like sometimes the shot would have 90 people, and every single outfit in that shot would be individually designed to look different. So it's like it's not just like throwing people on screen. Like everything was designed throughout this entire movie. It's pretty insane.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty insane. No offense to costume designers, it's just like the thing that I'm least interested personally in movies, not to discredit it in any way at all. It's a
Well,
lot
if
of
they
work.
were all
and
in
it's cool.
jeans and a t-shirt, you'd have been upset. And you
I
would
would have
have
been. That's 100%. And I would have known why, because it would have
Those
looked
are
like
one of
shit.
those
They're probably,
departments.
it's like,
those are one
this
of
guy's
those
got a
departments.
Danzig shirt on
I
or
laughed
whatever.
when it cuts to freaking Jamie Foxx in that blue suit with the frock.
Yeah.
Laughed
Oh, yeah.
so
That's
hard.
great.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
But those are one of those departments where if it didn't exist, it would be very obvious.
Yes.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. And this movie is just like chock full of, every department gets money, and it shows.
Yeah.
Stunt department and horse training department that trained with everybody for about 4 months before any of the horse stuff. They trained Christoph Waltz and Jamie Foxx on how to ride a horse. Jamie Foxx had his own horse initially. He had it for like 4 years, and he used it because he was more familiar with it. So the horse he's riding in the movie is his own horse.
Oh, that's his own horse?
That's awesome.
Including the one doing the stunts at the end, the show horse
So
stuff?
probably not the stunt stuff. I don't know, though.
Yeah.
Not the falling over, at least. Those were definitely stunt horses.
No, I meant just like his prancing and stuff.
Maybe
like
the
that.
prancing.
That was like,
Yeah.
that's not show. I don't know. That's not stunt horse, but show horse things.
I love it when Christoph was like, and this is Fritz. And then the horse just like does a little bow.
Yeah, just like a head bow. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. But they, I mean, all the horse stunts were real. Like all of them were real. The one they focused on the most during the stunts documentary thing was when that tooth wagon thing blew up around all the KKK members, like on horseback and stuff.
Yeah.
They rehearsed that for months, and then they did all of these like different practice runs. They're all highly trained professionals, and all the horses were, safety is number one for all these guys. It was done in one take. They trained 15 horses to fall down. So like they wanted, like they had all these,
just like on
every
cue and they would fall
single
down?
individual horse had something specific to do, and they trained that. It wasn't just like,
Whoa.
all right, try to look like an explosion goes off and we'll be fine. It's like, all right, there are like 40 horses in that shot, I think. It's like, all right, you horse number one, you have the thing you run across camera as soon as the thing goes off. You horse number two, you're one of the fallers. We're going to train your horse how to fall down. So
no shit.
15 out of 40.
That's amazing. I
That is
want to
amazing.
watch it again to see
I didn't know
that
horses
and
were
see.
trained that well.
Yeah,
No.
you can apparently train the shit out of horses.
Were they like really nice about the horses? Not like horse hate, like Guillermo del Toro sort of?
No, I mean, all the people were like, these horses are amazing. I had no idea that you could make horses do all this stuff.
Maybe
You can
Guillermo
train
just
them.
needed some better trained horses, I guess. I don't know,
guess.
but he was, yeah.
But I mean, so like the guy who trained the horse is like the main horse trainer. I don't know. He probably has a name, but sorry. He was talking about how like, all right, he asked for 15 horses to fall. On a good take, you might get half the horses. So like seven or eight horses.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, like one of the best takes. If you get 9, perfect. Best thing you could ever ask for. The one take they had of it, he said either 13 or 14 horses fell.
Hell,
Nice.
holy shit, man. After all those dry runs,
Yeah,
they finally got used to it.
I guess.
That's
Wow.
pretty awesome, man.
And I never like this movie. I think it's a good thing that you get so involved, kind of, that I usually think about technical things. Maybe it's just because I don't know anything about horses, where I don't think technically about how hard it would be to film some of this shit with horses.
right.
But like
right,
just
right.
watching this, stuff,
Especially
you're
when
like,
you're trying
Jesus
not,
Christ.
we're trying very hard not to kill them or harm them in any
Right.
way,
Yeah.
sort of, right? So
If you kill it, so this is the most. So what a lot of people said was like it's the most expensive production. It's the most involved production. It had the most stunts where no horses got harmed or killed. Not even a
Wow.
harmed horse during this production.
No injuries.
No injuries. Which is why apparently they said like we wanted to put that first as soon as the credits started rolling. Just like that was the first thing
that
you
was pretty
see.
prominent, right?
Because they want to make sure people can leave the theater to be like, how the fuck do they do that? We just watch horses get blown up. Like what the
Right.
fuck?
Right. We don't want PETA there throwing blood all over the fucking theater.
That's pretty cool.
And Django was pretty successful, right? It looks. I'm trying to look
Hugely
at the
successful.
numbers on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the budget was $100 million. I think it made like $500 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Box office, that's probably domestic. 425 domestic, and
Wow, that's a lot.
that's a lot. And that's
That's
just
a
domestic.
lot.
So
That's
probably a
just
couple more
domestic.
100 million at least.
Yeah, globally.
for
Yeah.
yeah.
If not more. Oh my God. I mean, it shows
Oh,
though.
that is
you know?
okay. So domestic is 162 million. International is
okay.
263 million. Worldwide is
So
the
more.
425.
Oh,
Internet.
okay.
Well,
More
international has so many
international.
more places to go.
So that's still really, really good for
That's awesome.
this movie. It's,
For what
it's a
they
3
spent.
hour long movie too. That's like highly violent and controversial. That's pretty fucking good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest
Yeah.
things about the documentary was just the way they set up the shot for that outside scene in that valley at night with all the the Klansmen with torches and the tooth thing and the explosion and all that stuff. The explosion was real. The horses were real. The torches were all on fire. It was on location in the place that they shot. And they had this gigantic crane with this gigantic fucking light. I've never seen anything like it. It was like, I have actually. You ever seen Radiohead live?
Yes.
No.
You know how they have those huge like panel lights?
Yes.
A huge panel lights like above them.
Yes.
They can move them around. They had one of those things. It was bigger than those. Like the one for Django was just bigger because it didn't move, but it was hanging from this giant crane. Maybe like, it looked like it was 150 feet up into the air. And they had just this huge bright light from this giant flat screen panel that was just illuminating the entire valley they were filming in.
Wow. That's cool.
I mean, that's a lot of money, I have to assume. That's like specialty equipment. 100%. That's insane.
Yeah.
The generators
the
out
operators,
there. Everything.
The power,
I'm surprised this film didn't cost more.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a lot. 100 mil?
100 mil is a lot for a movie.
That's a lot. That's a real lot.
And people, like actors, take pay cuts to work on Tarantino's movies. So like you're not giving $25 million to Robert Downey Jr.
That's fair,
down the toilet, basically.
Well, yeah, they just take it on the back end when it makes the money.
That's
fair.
Right? They don't take it out of the budget.
But also, it's
they
like
take a pay cut during production, but then they get their money back after the movie does
he can make you. His films are star makers too. I mean,
your residuals for the next 30 years.
But also your career. I mean, just. Yeah,
there's a lot of reasons. To take a little bit less, and I mean,
anytime I hear pay cut, I get a little janky because I know that they're getting money on the back end.
Well, right. Oh, they're working on
he's taking a pay cut. Oh, good, Bill. You're such a good actor. Like, fuck off, dude. He's getting all his shit on the back end.
Well, it's still even the pay cut's still millions. So he's
I roll that too. I'm not even but still, anyways.
I think this was like the first movie in like 30 years or something where DiCaprio wasn't the top built actor in the movie.
Oh.
And it was also like one of two movies until this point where he played a bad guy.
Yeah, during his scenes, he seemed to be the focal point of attention as usual.
Yeah, that's true. It was like The Man in the Iron Mask or something like that. I think that might have been what it was called.
I thought that's anyway, I never saw it, but
I never saw it either.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah.
So speaking of people not wanting to be less than top billed, Will Smith turned down. He was offered the role of this. This role was written for Will Smith. Tarantino wrote it for Will Smith, and Will Smith turned it down. Do you know why?
No, because he wasn't top billed?
Oh, he would have been top billed.
No.
It's because his character didn't get to shoot candy.
What?
How stupid is that?
Really?
That's why?
That's why. That's what Will Smith said. Will Smith has made terrible casting choices in his career. He also turned down The Matrix when he was offered the role of Neo.
Shit. Oh, that would have been good.
And he did Wild Wild West instead that time.
Right. Oh,
although I bet he made some good money on that.
That movie was a huge bomb. Wild Wild West?
It was I don't remember.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Gotta look that up.
But I mean, isn't that a stupid reason? Like he even said afterwards, he's like, I thought the role was brilliant. It's just not for me because I gotta shoot the bad guy.
That's
dude,
why
you're a
fucking
Black
actor. Or something. That
you're
was
an
like
actor,
his
Will.
reference.
You idiot.
You're also a comedic actor most of the time, Will. I mean, it's not like you're made to look real good in Men in the Black or anything. I mean, it's just.
I'm honestly so happy he didn't take this role. I think Jamie Foxx did stuff with it that he couldn't even.
Jamie Foxx is awesome.
Yeah, he's so much better.
Yeah.
He was funny and serious. Like I feel like Will Smith would have just been like Will Smith, right? That's all he ever is. It's just he would have been the guy in Men in Black in this movie, which would have been fucking weird. Yeah, unless Tarantino could have changed him too. Who knows?
Well, I would have been, but maybe you say that. Yeah. If some director can sort of like change, like,
or not change, but like influence a good, or get a good performance out of you, like a really, really legendary performance out of you.
Yeah.
They also had on set a real quick shot expert. It was actually this one guy who was like famous in Hollywood that teaches people how to quick shot. All that gunplay stuff that Jamie Foxx did was
draw,
real.
I thought, right? Quick draw, not quick shot.
They said quick shot.
Do they call it quick shot? I didn't know that. Okay,
so quick shot is when you like. So you pull it up.
Yeah, you draw. I thought you draw. Quick draw is like
quick draw. I mean, there's Quick Draw McGraw, the cartoon character, John, but this guy's a professional, and they call it quick shot.
Right,
okay,
that's what I was thinking. Though,
in the industry, we call it quick shot. I'm sorry. Obviously,
I'm sure they're
don't know what I'm talking
totally
about.
valid terms, but they called this guy a quick shot expert. So that's what I'm regurgitating back to you guys.
Because it's not the draw that counts; it's the shot.
It's the shot. Yeah, and he also taught Christoph Waltz the trick too, because that scene in the beginning where he turns his lamp off drops it and then pulls it out and shoots the guy in the dark. That was like a real cap gun where they had the explosion shown. That wasn't a special effect. So he really did that.
Yeah, the shot. Yeah.
All the flipping around of the gun and the quick shooting from Jamie Foxx was all real. All of the like the gun stuff, like he was trained with all the guns that he used in the movie to make it look convincing because it had to, because they were lining up the shots of where he was shooting with timed explosions from squibs and all the actors to make it look that good.
So it had to be kind of close.
It had to be really close. Yeah. Really and he also had to look confident holding it and like, he had to look like he had held a gun before, you know, like you can't just aim it and like have it. You can't just look like an idiot pointing, like having the gun over your head. Perfect shot. No, you got to be badass, like down by the hips, doing it fast. Yeah.
Yep. And he did look good doing it. Jamie Foxx looked good with the fucking guns, man.
He did.
He knew what he was doing.
Yep.
He practiced in front of a mirror for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
For sure. The town was a redressed little town they found in the middle of nowhere. That intro town. They just redressed an entire broken down town.
Is that what, did they use like some of the inhabitants there for characters?
No, all
like,
the inhabitants.
I don't
think there were inhabitants. I think it was just like an abandoned set or something.
It seemed like when they show the cast at the end, there's like the inhabitants of this town or whatever, but maybe that was like, it was actual the actors.
They said in the thing that all they did was redress it and get a bunch of extras to come, is what they said. I don't know. Maybe they had some people like hanging out that lived in there.
There's still some good. I just remember some of the. I like those scenes early on when they're in the bar, and then they come out. Christoph comes out there, and they're just like 100 people all with guns on them, and Christoph's he's just being all calm. And,
oh, that scene where like did you guys notice when he shoots the sheriff and everyone like. The one woman faints and everyone runs away. Right. One of the women running away is in a very fancy dress, but she has a crutch and she's just like crutching herself away.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's just a good
put
scene.
That in 100%. Put that in there for comedic effect. So that was a redress set. Candyland itself was just a set. Like they just found this abandoned land and they built the house entirely. So this is pretty insane. They had they planted 395,000 fava beans to replicate cotton because they kind of look the same, apparently.
Oh, wow.
395,000, but then also covered 2 acres in grass and let it grow to the height of what it was. And they had 4 miles of road for those like really long shots. They had a straight road going directly to Candyland and they'd shoot with a long lens, I guess, like 4 miles down the road to get those like super wide shots where Candyland is just like in the middle and you get to see everything on either side.
Wow.
Which is fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's great.
They looked great. It makes you wonder, like, did they need 4 miles of road? I don't know.
No.
Maybe they did to make it look like that.
How much road do we have? 4 miles. That should do it.
Let's use it. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, did you guys hear about DiCaprio's hand getting cut during that the scene?
Was that where he was bloody all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Where he was bloody? Yeah.
So that was real.
It looked like he was cut.
That was real in that plan, and he smears his own blood over the poor actress's face.
No, so what they did was, during one of the takes, he smashed his hand when he was hitting the table on a thin stemmed glass, and it actually cut his hand, and his performance was so good, they wanted to use some of that in the movie, but he didn't do this blood smearing thing. But then they started talking afterwards, and he's like, maybe we could add more blood in, rewrite the scene a little bit. And use that take.
Like, oh man, he's so method. Now he's gonna go over here to the actress and like smear his actual blood on her face.
Yeah.
Like,
they used that. They 100% used that for advertising purposes. Because I remember when I first saw this movie, they were like, he really cut his hand, and they didn't explain it. And then you watch the movie, him smearing it. You're like, what the fuck? That's not okay. You can't smear blood on people.
That's not smart.
Yeah. But yeah, it was all safe and stuff. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
130-day shoot. That's a long fucking time.
Wow.
Yep. A lot of long movie.
A lot of film. Yeah, he shoots on film. It's a lot of film. And they must have thrown a lot of it away because, again, this was going to be 2 movies.
Jeez.
Christoph Waltz fell off a horse during training towards the beginning of the shoot.
That sucks.
And that's part of the reason they rode in the wagon that he rode in on, because he couldn't ride a horse during a portion of the shoot.
So that's why he got to ride. Okay.
Yeah. So that was, good addition there.
It did work. Yeah, it worked really well.
Yeah. And the last one I have isn't that great, but, Tarantino's so good at constructing his movies and knowing what he wants that he knew when montage scenes were going to happen because he wanted like Western montages and stuff. And he already had Ennio Morricone coming in and writing music. So he knew which song he was going to use for those scenes. So when they were filming the montage scenes, they knew it was going to be audioless. He would bring the audio to set to play to the actors as they were
that's
acting
cool.
through the montage parts. of
That's
the movie.
cool. So that it works perfectly.
So it works
basically,
perfectly,
no matter
I
what.
sometimes
Yeah.
feel like that there's some synchronization going on with the music and what's happening on those scenes a little bit. So yeah, that's maybe why too, because the actual music is
They're
playing
actually
as they're doing
moving
it.
to the playing
Yeah.
music. Yeah. And,
And
then
that's
they
rare
use those
that-
sections. And edit.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
only Tarantino can do that kind of stuff because usually you can't afford to hire the composer that early on in a project,
Yeah.
but he can. And he got Ennio Morricone, who was like one of the most legendary Western composers.
Yeah, he does whatever he wants. It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
And Ennio actually said, and if we watch Hateful Eight next week, we'll get into him more because Ennio Morricone won an Oscar for The Hateful Eight. But
Oh,
he like retired for a while. He did the score to like all of Sergio Leone's movies, like The Good and the Bad, the Ugly, all that stuff. He was a composer for those. He did this. After this movie, he said he never wanted to work with Tarantino again because he gave him like a cohesive score and Tarantino just chopped it up.
Oh.
And Morricone said like, I didn't like that, but somehow got him to sign on again.
he
for,
came right back into
Yeah.
the Hateful Eight. So oh,
Money.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think
those
Hateful Eight
budgets
was
are
his last
endless.
movie,
It
too.
sounds like, right? I mean, 100 million for a fucking movie, and it's like no VFX. You got to be kidding me. It's a lot of
blood.
money. Yeah,
Lot of
but
blood.
it's just like
Lot-
usually
lot-
that
lot of
money goes to
squibs.
VFX, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's
or
true. That's
actors.
true.
You know?
Yeah.
Or actors. Yeah, I mean, it's going directly into the film. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
100 mil.
That's why it looks so good. That's why it can look
That's
good
why
for
it's
3
good.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all I got.
cool.
All right.
All right. So before we get into what we're watching next week, would you guys put this in
Hateful
the
Eight.
top 250?
Yeah,
That's a long pause.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a close call.
That's
Because
a no.
there's other good films of Tarantino's that get to go in there, and it's like, well, this is Inglourious Bastards already up there. Do you need this one too?
Well, what about Hateful Eight? We got to watch that next.
Yeah, right. 3. Anyway, I'd still put it there. I think just because I think there's some really good.
I don't
stuff
think
here.
I've seen anything like it.
I'm going to go no just because, I mean, everything production wise is amazing and it's fun to have Tarantino do stuff. And it was entertaining and funny. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how this is higher than all his, except for Pulp Fiction. It's higher than Reservoir Dogs or,
Yeah.
freaking
Well-
Inglourious. It's higher than Inglourious Bastards.
I mean, it
I don't
does.
know
It
about
deals
that.
with a subject matter that is in very much in the limelight these days.
Yeah.
It's a discussion that is being taught. That's underway, right, about Black history. So I could see it being part of that, even though it might not be 100% accurate.
Well, again, it is something that distinguishes it to make a.
So, like,
an
I would
American
probably put
Western
this one
and
up
focus
more
this.
on the higher list than the Inglourious Bastards, just based on that fact with the time we're in. I think that's probably what people are thinking, but I could be wrong. Again, we shouldn't be talking about this stuff.
We should.
right?
Yeah. I don't know how to edit this out here. I'm going to go no because all it is a good
yeah.
production value and a funny story
Yeah.
and confusingly
we should
edited.
be talking about it.
Yeah. That's it. So next
Yeah.
week, have you come around, John? Do we? So I have. So we
Yeah,
have 3
I'm ready.
recommendations
Yeah,
now.
is-
We have 3.
Choose.
So here we go. So what we talked about previously is Dune is coming out, so we could watch Sicario before that happens to get round out all of our most recent Denis Villeneuve movies. We could watch Battle Royale as TC recommended, or we could watch The Hateful Eight.
Well, we want to do Battle Royale anyways.
Yeah. So
That's
we could
my
save,
pick.
TC, we could save Battle Royale for more of a Halloween-y type of time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween.
But-
Or we
well,
could do it.
we-
We could do it next week. Either. Like both are good.
No, I think we should do Hateful Eight because we're on the tangent with the Tarantino,
Let's
and
do
maybe it'll turn over my whole, anti-creative thing. I'll get on
good.
board.
We work on that.
Yeah, right.
Like, maybe
yeah.
this really means something
Yeah.
after all.
You should meet some of these people, and then you'll start to realize.
It's a different perspective.
I'd
I
rather watch them in
understand.
interviews.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'd rather watch
see.
the
I'd
movie.
rather see the personas they choose to project to the public.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it sounds like we should be watching Battle Royale. But I'm down for Hateful Eight on the next one. So
All right. So let's do Hateful Eight next week.
all
And
right.
then we can find another time
All right.
slot for a Battle
Another-
Royale.
another
and then
3-hour
we can
film.
do a month later or something. We'll do Battle Royale
Sweet.
after we
All
get
right.
back on the list.
Sounds good. All right, guys.
All right,
guys.
boys.
Time for another 3-hour long one there. Let's do it. Hey? Yeah.
What did I just sign up for?